There's another anomaly to analyze, says Bill Webb, an astrophysicist who has been, together with his team, revealing what they are trying to explain about this comet called Atlas III. Not only that, but also what's going on around other investigations being carried out by European Space Agency, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and other astronomical institutions. It's not just the analysis, but also the surrounding events that draw attention. Check out this information. One of the most interesting points is this image, which is actually an image of several of these solar waves. Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite, Solar Terrestrial Relations Observatory, and also Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, all three of them. Using different tools and different analyses, they were able to demonstrate what this phenomenon would be causing, according to the astrophysicist Webb, this object. And according to what can be seen in these images, and according to what the images have revealed about temperatures close to 5,800 degrees Kelvin, it would be almost at the limit of what is the solar surface. In other words, it means the object reached a temperature close to that of the solar surface. Is it something that would have disintegrated? Would the phenomenon have disappeared if it were natural? That's something that hasn't been explained until now. All the color temperatures according to the Kelvin degrees. Can you identify what temperature it would be? So, if there's a more reddish temperature, more towards blue, it means it has a higher temperature, and this would be close to the temperature of the sun. An icy composition should turn reddish under this exposure, since the heat releases dark and organic compounds. And this would have turned, if this temperature had been reached, if it had reached the blue temperature, it would have immediately turned reddish instead of just reddening. The 3 and Atlas turned blue, and that even generated more brightness. A completely unexpected behavior. This is not typical of an icy body. If this were an icy body, a frozen body, a typical comet that's partly ice, it would have already disintegrated. This leads to different analysis of its composition, even of a possible non-natural origin. In addition to this, there's the presence of non-gravitational acceleration, which would mean that not only does it have the ability to maintain its structure without disappearing, but at the same time it shows non-gravitational acceleration, which means that it moves in a way that gravity alone can't explain. Another point that stands out and is emphasized today, November 3rd, is that on October 2nd, National Aeronautics and Space Administration captured high-definition images of the object just 30 million kilometers from Mars. However, according to reports, National Aeronautics and Space Administration has not wanted to release these images to the public, nor has it even shared them with other scientists. Loeb then criticizes this part and says, let's see, the person in charge of National Aeronautics and Space Administration, right now, I've already been responding to Kim Kardashian about certain scientific topics. Publicly, Kim Kardashian made some comments, and immediately the person in charge of National Aeronautics and Space Administration came out to respond to her. You say, how is it possible that he has time to respond to a celebrity like Kim Kardashian? And not to mention that he doesn't respond to scientists. He hasn't responded to Anna Paulina, who is a Republican congresswoman from the United States who also made a formal request to him. Here's the letter, by the way, about those images. Why hasn't he revealed them? On October 31, the Republican Anna Paulina Luna published this letter in which she asks Sean Duffy, the head of National Aeronautics and Space Administration, to respond. It's important to remember that the person in charge of transportation in the United States at this time was also temporarily put in charge of National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Trump doesn't care about National Aeronautics and Space Administration, that's reality. So, well, he said, no, let National Aeronautics and Space Administration take care of it, the transportation guy too. And they removed the Director of National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Sean Duffy. And here is the post from the same Republican, Anna Paulina Luna. She asks and tags Sean Duffy and says, please, can you read the letter? We want to see the images from 3 and Atlas, right? That's what she says. Is the congresswoman asking him? Elected by the United States? And he doesn't answer her. He doesn't answer scientists. He doesn't answer an elected congresswoman, but he does answer Kim Kardashian. That's the level at National Aeronautics and Space Administration right now. Just imagine, at least from its leader, right? Not from its scientists, but from the leader, the person who decides whether the images can be shown. I've known him for his research on the subject of comets. It is required that this could be non-natural and opens the debate about an artificial probe. Some more conservative scientists claim that the fact that it becomes brighter could also generate an unknown chemistry. But for that, it would have to be proven, which would reduce the mass. I mean, if a lot of material is being used to generate that tail, that frozen material from the comet, its mass would have to decrease drastically. And this, well, we'll see on November 11th. At that moment, we'll know. Remember, Oumuamua's case also showed non-gravitational acceleration without a visible tail. What the scientists said at that time was that it could be some kind of artificial movement, and that's where it was left. Oumuamua accelerated in the end. They said, okay, where's the tail? What's making it accelerate? We don't see it. It wasn't observed. I don't know if there's still any doubt. If it's Oumuamua, it was a partly artificial phenomenon. It's a topic that up until now continues to generate controversy. Meanwhile, the big day will be December 19th, the day when it will be closest to Earth. If it stays on course, it will be highly visible either way. Of course, if it changes its course, then we'll be talking about something else, a different story. But in the meantime, December 19th will be the day it's closest to us. It is expected that in the next few hours, in the next few days, that could be revealed. Because of the pressure there is right now against National Aeronautics and Space Administration for the information about 3 and Atlas to be revealed. They shouldn't need to hide anything. It's just simple behavior, right? At least that's what National Aeronautics and Space Administration says. If it's just a simple 100% natural comet like they say, then let them release the image. There's the image. Show it. Do they have it? And well, up until now, that hasn't happened. And that's the big question right now, along with the others, you know? The anomalies, like the retrograde trajectory, the solar jet going in the opposite direction of the sun, the famous anti-tail. The nucleus is 1,000 times larger than that of other interstellar comets, the nickel ratio compared to the comet. Well, as a series of things too. The trajectory, the origin of the GO signal, right? It would originate from the same region as the 1977 GO signal, which is where the comet was at that time. Come on, a series. The speed is another factor. Many things will need explaining over time, we'll see. But in the meantime, here's this update on what's happening with L3 and Atlas.